Okay, if I get your attention, city meeting for the month of March 2022 is now in session. If you would, we'll stand and have a pledge of allegiance and prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we come before you humbly tonight, thanking you again for another opportunity to represent our beautiful town. We ask you to have every decision that's made tonight, let it be in your perfect will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, thank everybody for coming out. We'll try to get this meeting over as quick as possible so people can get back to the luxury of their home. So at this time, we'll have the reading of the minutes by the city recorder.
The Saltillo Board of Aldermen met February 1st, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the City Hall for the regular monthly meeting. The meeting was called to order by Mayor Lowry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocation was given by Alderman Reeves. In attendance were Mayor Lowry and Alderman Billings, Maynard, Morgan, Reeves, and Wood. The minutes were read with a motion to approve from Alderman Reeves, second motion by Alderman Maynard. The minutes were approved as read. The mayor and board were provided with a copy of the expense and revenue report for January 2021. Deborah Shaw with Community Health has asked to be added to the agenda. Old business number 1, Siren Grant. Saltillo was selected to receive a grant for $112,601 for siren updates. This is a matching grant with Saltillo obligated to pay 20% of cost. Southwest Development District will administer the grant. Number 2, Vice Mayor. A motion was made by Alderman Reeves to appoint Alderman Billings as Vice Mayor. A second motion was made by Alderman Morgan. Alderman Morgan, Maynard, Reeves, and Wood voted yes. Alderman Billings abstained. The motion carried. Number 3, Fire Truck. No new information. New business, number 1, Street Lighting. Alderman Wood will be the contact for street lighting outages and requests. Currently, Alderman Wood is in the process of providing information to Lexington Electric. Per Alderman Wood, she will submit outages once per month on the 15th. Additional light requests will be provided to LEA 12 at a time. Number 2, boat dock repairs. Jonathan Delaney completed repairs on January 31st. The right-hand rail will be repaired at a later date. Number 3, River Day. River Day is set for September 24th in conjunction with the Tennessee River Barbecue Festival, who have asked to have their event in Saltillo. The River Day Committee voted in favor of combining the two events. Mayor Lowry will meet with the representatives for additional needs. Alderman Reeves will again be in charge of the River Day Festival. Number 4, Heritage Festival Committee. The committee will meet on Saturday, February 5th at 10 a.m. Volunteers are welcome. Number 5, ARPA funds. New information was received regarding uses of ARPA funds, which may be used for general services, preventative maintenance, street work, and vehicles for both maintenance and police. Number 6, street signs. Street signs are faded and missing. Signage may come out of the street aid funds. A general discussion ensued. Number 7, parks. A discussion to pursue an ordinance to close parks at 10 p.m. Number 8, shooting guns in city limits. A general discussion was held. Number 9, Half Moon Lake. Research shows that the area that is now Half Moon Lake was annexed in 1996 and developed in 99-2000. Lewis Cobb, the city attorney, will be handling any issues regarding this area. Number 10, street repairs. Mayor Lowry will be meeting with contractor to look into street repairs needed. A prioritized list will be established. Jonathan Delaney has expressed interest in installing culverts and ditch work. Number 11, community center repairs. May Brewer advised that the roof is leaking at the back of the community center. Jim Gibson did the previous repairs, and Mayor Lowry will contact him. Number 12, neglected properties. Mac Van Eaton addressed the board and asked the status of neglected properties throughout the city. Chief Young normally handles sending the documentation. Benita has volunteered to send the documentation for Chief Young as needed. With current business discussions complete, the meeting was open to those who asked to be on the agenda. Ms. Deborah Shaw with Community Health and the Director of Voices of Savannah advised that their agency is interested in providing rural health care to our area. Currently, Dr. Pamela Murray and 2 nurse practitioners are interested in this venture. Hours will be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, with administration being in the office on Wednesdays. Ms. Shaw advised that the idea is to create a system for this area providing a general medical facility. Telehealth and mental health services will also be available at this facility. Ms. Shaw is hoping that the facility will be up and running by late May or the 1st of June. They are currently working with insurance providers and hope to take commercial insurance, TennCare, and Medicare. Mayor Lowry proposed providing the doctor's office for 1 year rent-free and advised the building is habitable. Ms. Shaw asked that the organization take possession this month to start infrastructure. Alderman Wood made a motion to give access to the building. Alderman Mader made a second motion. No discussion. The motion passed with all aldermen voting yes. Chief Graves addressed the board requesting the purchase of a pursuit vehicle. Alderman Billings made a motion to earmark $27,000 of ARPA funds to purchase a pursuit SUV for the police department. Alderman Reeves made a second motion. No discussion. The motion passed with all aldermen voting yes. A general discussion was held regarding the spending plan for ARPA funds. This plan will be discussed during the March 2022 meeting. The plan is scheduled to be submitted no later than March 31st, 2022. With no additional business to discuss, a motion was made by Alderman Reeves and seconded by Alderman Billings to adjourn the meeting. The motion carried and the meeting was adjourned by Mayor Lowry.
You've heard the reading of the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as read?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Alderman Reeves, second.
A second.
Second, what is that? Maynard, Morgan. Second by Alderman Morgan. Okay, Alderman Billings,
Yay.
Morgan,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes, sir.
Wood.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved as read. So at this time, what we'll do is, we usually address old business, then we'll commence with new business or added business. Do we have anybody here who would like to be on the agenda before we start the meeting? Okay, if not, we'll continue with the meeting, and we'll just kind of go over the old and new business of the past minutes as old business. Let me get my paper here. Okay, on Siren Grants, we did get the Siren Grant. We're gonna have 2 new sirens. Total cost $130,000. Grant $112,000, I believe. City match $16,800. We're hoping, because we already have the poles and we have the weatherproof boxes, that the electronics maybe will come in under budget. And I did meet with Casey at Southwest Development District, and we had a meeting with EDC on the phones. And she did state that if some monies were left over, perhaps it was filed under disaster relief. So perhaps we can use the money for, if we have a little overdraft, we can use it on disaster relief. She's not sure at this time, and if we don't use all the money, we might have to turn the rest back in. We're not sure at this point, but I'm gonna be stressing real hard that we be able to use it for disaster relief or some other purpose for the city. Okay, so we did get the sirens, and they should be, we're working on it now. I think she's getting the preliminaries and all of that. A lot of the stuff we didn't have to do because we already had the pole erected, didn't have to break ground, so we didn't have to have engineering or none of that type of stuff. So that moved us a little bit farther. So we're waiting now. We did get the notice that we did receive the grant, but we hadn't got the contract yet. So once we receive the contract from the state and funds are dispersed, it will commence with getting the bids for the siren. Okay,
And
again,
that money, that $16,800 is coming out of the ARPA, is that right?
a big part.
The $16,800, is it gonna come out of the ARPA fund?
Well, we haven't, I mean, it hadn't been discussed. So it's gonna be up to us, I guess. I mean, I believe that it is something that can happen. We can take it out of that fund, but we hadn't reached that point yet.
Okay.
If you'll remember, we've got to turn it in by March the 31st, what we're gonna use the funds for. So, tonight, we're going, I don't think all of you, I've got some ideas as to what I would like to see the funds used for. But, perhaps, we'll have to suspend this meeting and re-adjourn to another meeting, because we'll have to figure out what we're gonna use those funds for, turn into the state by the 31st of this month.
So we can have a planning session or something, or?
Well, we'll have, we'll just suspend this meeting afterward if nobody knows, and then we'll have another meeting and plan on where we can submit to Benita to turn into the state what we wanna use that money for. Okay, and let me tell you that we did get $179,000, I believe, for that particular grant, and, but they only issued 50/50, so we only got 79,000. Next year, we'll get another 79,000. Providing that we follow the format and we complete what we want this year, so we'll be looking into that. Okay, y'all, does the board have any, I mean, well, I just answered that question, so you don't own the Siren Grant. Okay, the fire truck, I have informed we've got one fire truck, has no significant, I mean, it's not affecting our fire department or firefighting. We only get 1 point for rating for having an additional truck, but this truck is a tanker, I mean a pumper, and it was donated to us by North Carolina several years ago. We never did use it, but we've got a tanker and a pumper and everything that we do it now. This truck, only thing it needs is the carburetor rebuilt, because they let it set and then crank it, and so the carburetor kind of stoved up on it. I've instructed the fire chief to notify the mechanic that we've got papers where we did purchase the rebuild kit for the carburetor, and he just hadn't got to it. So if I told Kenny if he don't get to it in the next couple of weeks, then I'm gonna strongly request that he bring the kit down here and we'll get somebody else to put it in, okay? All right, okay, any questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on to street lighting. Miss Woods went around and looked at all the street lights that people had requested. And we did turn it into Lexington Electric. I think some people thought that, well, it would be economical 4 or 5 weeks that they would get to it and put it in, but they're transitioning to LED lighting, and plus it's a little bit longer span. I'd say probably 4 to 5 months before they install street lights. They like to install them where there are transformers on the poles, but some of them that we roped off didn't have transformers, so what they're looking at is a cost estimate, because it's probably gonna cost us something to install them, and then a yearly rate at maintaining and paying the electric bill. So what we'll do is I'll contact Electric before the next meeting to see that they're moving forward on that request. And Ms. Woods, you want me to get back with you? I mean, I'll just ask them. The thing about it is, Ms. Woods gonna turn it in, but as the mayor, I had to sign the paperwork contract to install additional lighting, since we're gonna have to pay for them. I think it's $7 per light. How many did we have? 12?
We turned in for 12 new ones.
Okay.
So we have,
So, but that is in process, the street lighting. And now, there'll be another round of street lightings out there to get these in, so we're not gonna just turn in one, have them come put in. Actually, they request that we do as many as we can at one time. So this is gonna be a 12 or 13 span at this time, and after this, we'll turn in some more, so we'll try to get them in. I think the city's pretty much covered with street lights, but then some areas are a little dark that we annexed several few years back, so we're trying to bring that up to date. Okay, the boat dock, it's been repaired. Miss Maynard is the alderman that oversees the river landing park down there, and I think she said at the last meeting that he had repaired it, and he's been paid, so that's been repaired on the boat. A good thing too, because you know the water's up, so. Okay, River Day. Okay, the River Day was moved to September the 24th. In conjunction this year as part of the 200 bicentennial, and it's not something that we planned, but the barbecue festival is gonna be part of River Day this year. Don't have any connection with our River Day, they're just needing a new venue, and they chose Saltillo to be the venue. It's gonna be probably 45 to 50 cookers from all over the United States. And they'll be at the river landing down there on this end of the parking lot. We're gonna leave the other end open for where boaters can still get in and out, but they'll be on this end. And that's gonna be on the 24th also, okay? So that should add a good number of people, as well as a better date for the city of Saltillo. And it's what, I keep forgetting, what is that, Greg, what is it?
The weaponry,
No, the,
oh, it's the Kansas City
Kansas City.
Sanctioned Barbecue Contest.
Okay, and they named it the the River.
Tennessee River Barbecue Battle, I think.
Right, that's correct. Okay, so we're looking forward to having those people. Now, since I'm on that subject, I'm gonna try to combine a little bit so we can get out here quicker. I did meet with the people over the barbecue festival, and they had their group out of Memphis down, and they're saying that they would sign with Saltillo to have this annually, if we permit it, but they need electricity down there, and they need two 200-amp services on a pole, which I don't know if you're aware of, but it's like a mobile home outdoor box on the pole and one plug, that's all they want. And their electricians from Memphis will come down and run the electricity all over to where the cookers are. And so they need water too, but I think we got the water worked out down at River Landing, so they can use the water there. There's a meter right there by the road. So, but they are asking the city to put in two 200-amp disconnects. So I don't think we have to address it at this time. We still got a good little ways to go. It's not until September the 24th. So we're gonna try to get through all this other business, and then we'll come back. I mean, ample time to where if we do decide to, I think we decided that they was welcome, so we need to address if we want to put in the electricity for them, and then they use it as a venue each year. Now they did, I'll say this pretty quick, they were paying to use the other venue, I think up by Pickwick. They asked that if we would allow them to use it with no cost this year, it would be beneficial to them, but after that, perhaps they would entertain to pay us a fee for using that area. So we can look at that too. So, okay, we're gonna move right on. Okay, to the board, do you have anything on the street lighting, the boat dock, or River Day, or the barbecue festival? If not, we'll continue to move forward. Okay, the Heritage Festival, it's gonna be, when is it? April the,
Is it 8th, 9th, and 10th?
Yeah.
the 8th, 9th, and 10th. The city is meeting, well, not the city itself, but the board, the committee that's working on that, they've been meeting, and we're gonna try to entertain that. There's two big events that we're gonna have this year. And I think that's a plus for the town. It brings a lot of people out, brings a lot of notoriety to the town. And it gives people an opportunity to communicate with one another. And like I say, I strongly feel that when people don't communicate and not aware of one another, you can tell them anything. You can tell them, that Matt grows a tail out 12 o'clock, and they'll believe it, unless they socialize, you see. So that's one of the things that we try to do, is to make sure that people are socialize and know each other, and then we can vouch for each other's character and the way we feel about our town. Okay, all right.
Now I want to intervene, we are having a meeting Saturday morning at 10 o'clock with Mike Fields on the Heritage Festival this week.
That is correct.
Okay, well, in case anybody wants to come out and volunteer and be a part of it, we'd love to have anybody at all.
Okay. February,
No.
that'll be Saturday at 10 o'clock.
It's
Yeah.
March
Okay,
the 5th.
okay. All right, are there any other? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the ARPA funding. Again, the ARPA funding, it was ratified in January that cities could use this fund for whatever necessary to entice the revenue of the city for what we had to spend on during the pandemic. And it's a blessing, believe me. At first, it was just allotted for water, sewer, and broadband. And Ronnie Neal, actually, I think if the board remember, we didn't even know that this grant was available. But when he came down to go over the tax preparation with us, he told us, hey, you can get this money, but this is what it's for. So we decided to file for it, even though we didn't feel that we would be able to use it at the time. But we was going to relinquish it to the utility district at the time if the city couldn't use it. And at that time, it couldn't, but they changed the scope of the grant between November and January. And now we can file the $10 million exemption for revenues for cities, and we can use that money. So we're going to use it for the city's needs, in which, we have moved forward and purchased a pursuit vehicle. The car that we had for our police was a 2006. It's starting to give us trouble, and it's an older car. The board did vote to authorize $27,000 for the purchase of a vehicle, and it was a 2016, I believe. But they sold it, so we thought that, well, that wasn't for us. So Stephen kept looking, and actually we found a 2018 for $23,000. So since the board allotted $27,000, we knew that we probably had to have tires or stuff like that. That's why we asked for the $27,000. So actually, with the $23,000, we did put new tires on it, and it's got a new radio in it, and it's got what else did you put in it, Stephen?
It will have a new radar.
Radar. But anyway, after the radar, the tires, purchase the vehicle, get in the vehicle to Saltillo from Chicago, and the stuff that Stephen needs, it's only gonna be $25,000. So we came in under that of $2,000. I wanna say between $1,500 and $2,000. Let me say that because we hadn't ordered the radar yet. We did order a radar, but it didn't do what the chief needed done, so we sent it back, and but still, once we look at another one, we're still looking at a under budget cost of $1,500 to $2,000. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I ask that, since our chief is here, did we get our money's worth? It looks good on the street, is it, I mean,
Yes,
how
sir.
you like it?
Yes, sir. It operates good, and I think we got our money's worth out of it. So basically, we paid $12,000 to $14,000 for a vehicle. And then the other part of it was police equipment that was already there on it that we didn't have to put on it. It's got about 82,000 miles on it when we got it, and should last us for at least 10 years or more. Same vehicle that the highway patrol, exactly what they use, and their vehicles, when they turn them in, they have 200,000 miles on them. So I think we got our money's worth, and it's going to be a good vehicle for us.
Got some nice lights on it.
Well, actually, in
Have you seen the person?
I've seen them, but not.
okay. You know, in reality,
this morning.
in reality, the lights and stuff, it's got the lights, it's got the cage in it, it's got the gun racks in it, it's got everything in it that's necessary, and that was actually a savings. If we had bought a vehicle and didn't have that on it, would be an additional $8,000 or $10,000. So what we look at it is, well, all the lights and the police equipment on it about $8,000 to $10,000. So we paid $23,000, and that's getting it to Saltillo. So we feel that we got a good deal on the 2018 for the vehicle itself. Okay. So any other comments or discussion on the police vehicle, Riverdale Heritage Special, ARPA, or
Mayor, if I could, the ARPA funds, you mentioned about extending this meeting, so are we gonna circle back around and discuss that tonight?
yeah, I've got it on my agenda here. What we're gonna do, this was included in new business last
Right.
time, considered old business this time.
I
So
got you. Okay.
what we're gonna do is right toward the end of the meeting, I've got it down, and what we're gonna do is, I don't think, I'll present to you what I feel, I mean, a couple of the things that I got wrote down over here that I'd like for you to include on your list. And then when we come back at the suspended meeting, then you can input what you want to input, because it's going to be, I mean, even though what I got down here is still going to be probably 30,000 left over. So, you know, we'll have to look at that. Now, here's the thing about, well, we'll just get that toward the end of the meeting. Let's move on forward.
Are you gonna take suggestions on that part from us?
Oh, how to spend the money.
Well, if you come back after the suspended meeting,
Okay.
you know, yeah, we'd be glad to hear what.
Suggestions now.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, I mean, the idea of it is for the aldermen to input where they need the city value, where they think the city value should be. I know we need some ditch work, we need some culverting, we need a few different things. And, if everybody put our inputs in, then some of the things we're all gonna want is the same thing. And then it'll be somebody that mismatch, and then if the community has any input, then we'll recognize that also. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move right along, parks,
Number 6.
Oh, street signs. Okay, so the street signs, several years ago, when we got the grant to redo the fire department over here, we decided that the county was building their fire station at the top of the hill, so I called the county mayor and asked him if he would be interested, because the doors on that fire station up there, the motors and all that was on our fire hall. So I asked him, I didn't want to give it to the contractor, and the grant said it was ours to do what we wanted with, so I offered it to the county, because they was building a new fire station, and actually was a savings of about $12,000 to $15,000 for those doors and stuff that go with it, believe it or not. So he accepted it, and he said that, you know, Mayor, they make the signs, they make the street signs at the highway department, and he would be willing to assist us in getting street signs made. So to address that issue right there, as the weather breaks, I will contact the county mayor and see if he's still gonna help us with the street signs, if they can still make them. And if they can make them, and it's a small cost to us, then I suggest that we go ahead and do it. The thing about it is we're gonna need posts. And I'm gonna tell you, people talk about monies and how much stuff costs. I think one of those posts is like $25, $30 just for a post, because they say they break away, you know. But to put the street signs on, so we'll have to look at probably, I don't know how many posts are tore down, you know, and once we get them up, you can bet some of them's gonna get tore down and because of arrogance and people being mean, but you know, we just have to address it at the time. But I will, as the season break, I will get in touch with the county, and I'll try to have that at the next meeting too, after I talk to the county mayor about if they still make those signs and what the probability of us getting them to make the signs for us. Of course, we'll have to go around and get the name of our signs, and I don't know, I'm quite sure the brackets don't come with the sign, they'll just make the sign, so we might have to purchase brackets or whatever it takes to accommodate the sign once we get them. So I'll just have to contact him, and I'll try to have that information for the board at the next meeting pertaining to the street signs. Okay, anybody have anybody want to comment or discuss street signs? If not, we'll move on. Parks. Okay, it's been we've been having some vandalism at the park, at the parks. So what we decided to do is, now this is just, it was brought to my attention, hey, why don't you just close the parks at 10 o'clock at night? With the exception of River Park, I believe, isn't that right, Officer Graves, that we had talked to people about, with the exception of that. We've got cameras down there on that, which we've got cameras at this park up here, but still there's a lot that goes on that you don't see on some of the cameras. So, so that's something, board, I hope y'all got a piece of paper, put that, if you would, we're not gonna try to, because these are things that I'm addressing to you now that we can decide later, but it needs to be in your mind to where you know what, when it brings up again, and that is, if we want to decide to close, I think we got, Lincoln Community Park, and then we got the park behind the school, and then, that it would consist of, that's basically the two, okay? And believe it or not, I don't know, the other, here a while back, went down there, and they had, some guys from Savannah was practicing ball, and they had drove across the park all the way over on the tennis court and parked their truck and cars on the tennis court. And they was from Lexington and Savannah. But you know, the cameras picked them up, we seen them, we got down there, and I think somebody turned them in, but we got down there and we know who they was, but they was very apologetic, as people are. I'm sorry, didn't know. How do you not know when you drive through swings and stuff like that to get back there and park your vehicle instead of parking in the parking area and walking back there? We probably wouldn't have said nothing if they parked in the parking area and walked back there, but I mean, you'd be surprised what little stuff goes on that contributes. Like just a few minutes ago when we got to notice that the two cannons up there in front of the school, kids up there tore the wheel off.
Do you have that on camera?
Well, I'm sure we do. But we know who it was. Stephen talked to them, and the parents put it back on and said the kids wouldn't do it no more. So, but you know, just the idea of stuff like it happening. And Miss Oga actually, she said they had the whole cannon picked up. I don't know how they picked that concrete cannon
I
up.
whirled around, I said, where are y'all from? They pointed that way and that way.
But
I'm talking about, little kids.
well, it took 4 grown men to set them.
I can't believe that. Okay, all right,
6
so,
or 7 of them.
okay, we're gonna move right along pretty quick. Gun shooting in the city limits. A lot of people, when we did say something about that last time, people said, oh, we can't shoot our guns, this is, gun rights. Well, let me rectify that. We do have some people that shoot automatic weapons or semi-automatic weapons in the city limits. And we're not passing anything that regulates a person having a gun. Stephen, he's our police, but he's also TWA officer, and he looked that up. And the state already has a mandate for reckless shooting. Is that right?
Yes, it's, if somebody recklessly discharges their firearm in the city, we can address it with TCA. And we wouldn't wanna make an ordinance that, it's a felony. So you don't wanna make an ordinance that's way down here when it can be addressed. If somebody's shooting towards your house or shooting inside of a house, it can be addressed. And otherwise, personally, I don't want to infringe on anybody's Second Amendment rights unless they're unsafely handling firearms.
Well, how do you know that in my case, this has happened with me. I live over here on Gumtree. And not the instance that you went to, on another instance, there's a gentleman, I know who he is, but I don't ever physically see him, but I know he's shooting a gun.
Okay.
I don't know which way he's shooting it.
Right.
I'm not gonna go over there and confront him, I'm not gonna say nothing to him.
Right.
But by the time you get there, the mayor, he's done what he did. He could say, hey, what y'all talking about?
As long as it's not reckless, that we're not wanting to address it.
So it's okay for him to discharge a firearm in the city?
Yes. Yeah, well, that's what, we're out in the country here, and I would think if you looked at 98% of the population, they would want to, that's the reason they moved to this area. I'm just basing that on the people that tackle me and
To
ask me.
shoot a gun in their yard?
Yeah.
That's why they moved here?
Right.
I would think they moved here because we're
Good
a
people.
wonderful town to live in.
We're good people, yeah.
If the people are, not to bring it up, but if they are in the act of hunting, or they say they're in the act of hunting, then our laws cannot prohibit them from discharging their firearm.
If they have a valid hunting license.
Well, they don't have to have one on their property.
Okay.
Well, when, I thought, I don't know who I spoke with, or looked up, that, the Tennessee law, whatever the number is, that, said you could not shoot, reckless means shooting a gun within 300 feet of a paved road.
No, that's incorrect. It's incorrect.
I think that's only if you're shooting at a passing
The only
vehicle.
place in the state of
Well, it
Tennessee
said,
that you can't
if you're shooting
Okay,
within 300 feet of a house, a residence, it says, not a
Yeah,
house.
that's incorrect.
And,
Yeah, that's incorrect. The only place in the state of Tennessee that it's regulated, unless the city makes an ordinance where you can't shoot in the city, is if you're on public waters or if you're on a public property. And it's 100 yards from a visible dwelling. Okay, so that would be somebody out on the river and they shot too close and they're sitting there and they're 98 yards away from your residence and they're shooting. Or if you're on a WMA or TBA property and it happens to be close to a house, you have to stay 100 yards away.
well, I know where I heard that. You asked me at the last meeting, I think, or somebody, we were gonna talk about checking into, areas around us. And I called and spoke to the chief of police in Adamsville. I forget his name. But he's the one that told me what their ordinance was or whatever.
Right.
And, it wasn't an ordinance, it was the state of Tennessee, and he's the one that told me, 300 feet, you can't, you can't shoot a firearm within 300 feet of a residence or 300 feet of a paved road. And he said the way they handle that, because a lot of people have farms and paved roads go through their farms and what have you, that they, only, enforce that with a complaint. So if no one complains about it, then they don't do anything about it. But if someone complains, then they address it. Now, that's how, Adamsville,
And
when,
that was by state TCA.
that was
code.
TCA code, he told me.
Well, that's incorrect. So
Well, I
just
mean, I
tell
don't
you
know, but
100%
I would
that's
think
incorrect.
that if he, you know, we would need to double, you know,
I don't
maybe
have
you
to-
can, you
I
don't
can
have to.
promise you that I do this, I've been doing this for 23 years in my state job, and that's incorrect. So,
Well,
I can
maybe we
promise
should
you.
tell him.
He does know. I mean,
Well, ain't
that's
no
an
sense in us
ordinance.
telling him.
He's
What
talking
we
about
do is,
ordinance.
what
versus a
we do,
TCA.
Stephen, when you get time or something, when you're in town, we'll just research it ourselves and
Okay.
see what it says.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Okay. Okay, we're gonna move right along there. We got a little off track there. Okay, so the deal is, the city's not passing an ordinance regulating firearms, anything at this point. But we will look into the state TCA annotated to make sure that know what we're in compliance with. And I don't know, this board might wanna take up an ordinance, that's y'all's call, but if not, then we'll look and see what TCA code annotated says, and that's what we'll abide by. Okay, moving right along. Okay, the Half Moon Lake area, again, we did get a letter from, Brent Lay, I think he and Don Buckingham, the proprietors of Half Moon Lake, that they wanted the, streets fixed down there, and they wanted this because we had the property tax. So what we did was turn that over to the city attorney, and actually they said that they had talked with, Mr. Willis. He was the mayor at that time when it was annexed, and he told them that he didn't annex, that they wasn't in the city, which is not true. We do have the annexation papers back there. He signed off on them. It was annexed, but it wasn't developed at that time. It was just a flood zone. So, actually, Mr. Lay and them, they said they contacted Mr. Willis, and he said that he didn't know if he, annexed them or not, which we found the papers, which he did annex, and he signed. But they could have also, talked to the assessor of property. He could have told them that they was in the city limits, so, come on, honey, get this one. It's in my coat pocket, that's what I'm trying to feel for. Excuse me, just a minute. See, get that renewal right there. Inside the coat pocket. Let me just turn it on. I apologize. Let me turn this thing off. Yeah, that take care of that. Okay, so they were annexed in 1996, and the development went in I think 99, 98, somewhere afterwards. So, even then the city had in place that they had to adopt a county road plan to put in roads or anything, because that was part of what the city required. So if they didn't build a road, and actually, our place is that they deeded the street to the county. It's not, the county has a deed to that road, so, but anyway, it's in the hands of our city attorney. He's going to, he'll circle through that, and when it's time, he'll let us know what we need to do. Right now, we're just gonna leave it in his hands. Okay, board, do y'all have any comment or discussion on that? We're just gonna leave it with our city attorney, okay?
Smart.
All right, okay. Street repairs, I did talk with a contractor out of Savannah. He's there behind Dairy Queen. People know him as Bruiser, I believe it is, but a lot of people know him. He's been recommended, and he has, I've discussed with him about street repairs. So within the next month or so, just soon as the weather break where they doing asphalt and stuff, I'm gonna have him address some of the streets that need repairs. To the board, I've been going around looking, and before I give him that list, I will relate to you guys what I have, and if you see something that need done, if you can relate back to me, then we can get him on board to try to put on his list to fix everything we need fixing at some given point in time. Okay, and then again, on the ditching and the culverts, I did talk with Jonathan Delaney. He said that he was interested, but he said he'd get back with me, so I don't know if he's still interested in putting in culverts and doing our ditches for us. If not, we'll find somebody to do that, and where we can try to get everything up. I mean, especially where our culverts are. A lot of people got 4-inch sewer line for culverts. It's just not big enough to contain the water, so we're looking at replacing those and getting our ditching back up to par. Okay, community center repair. Okay, I talked to Jim on the On the roof, he came down and fixed it. I think it still, May said it was a little bitty leak, still a little one, so I called him, he said he'll be back to fix that, so. He has taken the biggest part of it, care of the biggest part of it, right, what you could see? Okay. Okay, on the neglected properties, we've had some reports on neglected properties, and we do have an ordinance against neglected properties, high grass, junk cars, I mean, anything that's an eyesore to the town. And, Kenny did work on that, he worked with the Parkers on their building and got that, but since then, he's, now he says he's been sick, been a little bit reluctant about doing that. So I had talked with Miss Woods, before, I didn't know if, what projection or what path to take, so, I think she had talked with Mr. Roger Phillips about if he would be interested in doing that job. I talked with Kenny yesterday, and he's still interested in doing the job. He said he just been sick, and, he just ain't been able to do it because of low blood pressure, but, so, what I did, I just thought I'd bring it to the attention of the board to see how they wanna pursue that. Do you wanna hire somebody, or do you wanna leave it with the fire chief, or how do you wanna handle that?
I think it's time to move on from the fire chief doing the job. I just put it out there and say,
Well, I think the fire chief has had that job before Kenny. Isn't that correct, Benita? Weren't we paying the previous fire chief?
Well, I would know that.
Yeah, well,
before her, so.
she had just told me.
Yeah.
Sorry I leaned around you.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, y'all, both of you told me that the previous fire chief had that job, and I don't think it was ever done.
Well, now, let me say this, when Dustin Scott was the previous fire chief, but now, when we initiated the values of doing that, there was nothing in place, so Dustin did do quite a bit, our system, we had to go to Savannah, I think, and we spoke with their guy that does that, and he gave us letters, and he gave us a format of what we could do and how to go about approaching, the community, the people, to where that they could, get it cleaned up. So a lot has been done, everything is pretty much in place with the exception of, it's gonna take a camera, because you're gonna need a document with photographs, you know what I mean? Just saying a person's place is one thing, but it needs to be documented, so, but some things have been done. Now, I'll let you.
Well, I wasn't aware of that. I just was in here one day for something, and it came up that we had been paying, we paid the fire chief, some fire chief, $50 more to work on that. And so, my feeling is, you know, that hasn't come to fruition. You know, everybody loves Kenny, but, you know, this is one of the things that we have established as something that we wanted to do to keep our town pretty, to keep our property values up, et cetera, et cetera. So what the mayor had asked me to look into finding someone that would be interested in that, so after talking with some of the board members, I went and spoke with Mr. Phillips several times, and he has some knowledge about that, and he is interested in doing that, and so the rest of the board knows that the mayor and I had talked that maybe since we're kind of new at this, that we would hire somebody to do it, maybe start out for 3 months and get an idea of exactly how much time it takes, exactly, you know, because you have to follow it through, you have to go to court, city court, et cetera, and document everything, and then the city has, of course, would document it, and then the city would have all the documentations as well, pictures, et cetera. So I, after talking with Mr. Phillips, and a lot of people know Mr. Phillips from doing the parades and helping volunteer with other things. But I would suggest that we establish this position as a position, and that it not be under any other position that we have. It doesn't have to be, the mayor said, doesn't have to be the fire chief. It can be, you know, stand on its own. So that I suggest, I'm just one alderman, but I suggest that we look at this is a serious thing in our town. And that we look at this, we hire somebody, he's willing to do it, he has experience, and we tried this for 3 months. And he meets with the mayor, and they sit down and work out the logistics, you know, as they know them. And then he gives a written report to the mayor before every meeting. And then we try it for 3 months, and then we reevaluate if this is something we want to do or not. So I'm suggesting, since we've talked about this over the years, I'm suggesting, or I would like to make a motion, and if that's correct, that we hire Mr. Phillips for at least 3 months, and then we reevaluate. He may decide after 3 months he don't want this job, but that we get this started and give it to someone that's interested in doing it and has some knowledge about doing it and lives in our town and cares how things look and run.
Okay,
So my motion is that we hire Mr. Phillips.
okay, I don't think we're ready for a
Okay.
motion. We're on discussion right now.
Okay, good.
So-
What kind of impact does that have on Kenny?
Well, what I like to do, let me just put my 2 cents in. I did talk with Ms. Carlin about, we had discussed about Kenny doing it. Kenny hadn't, I don't think he's been I don't think he's been aggressive at it, I'll put it like that. But, the thing about it is I like Kenny. He's a deputy fire marshal. And, before Mr. Phillips, I know you too, and we don't have any problems, but before, I believe that I just talked with Kenny yesterday, and Kenny's first responding, Kenny's not the fastest person in the world, but Benita has offered to help Kenny, and that's gave me a little thought. But the thing about it is, I think before we hire somebody, we need to give it just a little more thought.
Well, I was gonna say, I like Roger a lot, but before we walk in and just basically terminate somebody, they need to be given a warning.
Well, if I remember
Well,
at the
it's
last
not
meeting.
it's not
It's not
terminated.
No, he
He's
wouldn't
still the
terminate, he would
fire
just be
chief, but
taking
it's
that
just
away.
their job.
Right, but doing that,
But still, I
But last meeting, I don't have I usually have my meeting notices, but Benita or you would know. You stated that we were gonna give Kenny to 30 more days, and if he didn't do anything, then we were going to pursue another action. I may have not quoted that exactly, but that was the gist of it. And so it's not that, this is not something that we have decided today. When we talked about it, that was probably January, I met with Mr. Phillips several times, so, and then, I don't know if Kenny was here at the last meeting or not, but there's not a better first responder in the world as Kenny. But I just don't think that this job needs to be, it's not a throw under the rug job. It needs to be someone that is able and willing to put the work in to do that. And
qualified.
And, if we've got some money that will say, hey, well, we'll try, I'll work with you, we'll try this for 3 months, then why would we walk away from that when what we've had before hasn't worked at all? Now, that's all I got to say.
Were we not going to pay Kenny extra to do this job?
That's correct.
We were gonna pay him extra money from the
That is correct.
$350 a month,
That is
right?
correct.
So, I mean, it's not that, the way I see it is, it's not that that this is gonna cost us extra, we were gonna pay extra anyway for it. But, and Kenny has had a hard time, he's had some health issues, we all have, I mean, I don't know, but I think to get our town in the right direction, if we're gonna pay somebody, let's pay somebody that's qualified.
Well, we haven't heard his qualifications yet.
Well, I didn't get into Mr. Phillips'
Well, I mean,
qualifications, but you haven't
Roger
had a
knows
chance
that
to mark
yeah,
it
but you
yet.
got to be,
Okay,
there's certain criteria with the
did Kenny
state
have
that you have to
qualifications?
have to condemn a building. You have to be I mean, you have to have some contracted knowledge, some demolition, now you have to have some of that for us to put him in that position also.
Okay, did
Now,
Kenny
Ken
and
is a
Mr.
deputy-
Scott have that?
Ken is a deputy fire marshal.
So that gives him-
Exactly does. He's a deputy fire marshal, we had him approved as deputy, which is not hard for a fire chief to do. But because they're in fire and stuff like that, of course, Kenny is in construction, you know, everybody knows he does refrigeration and he does repairs and stuff. But still, Ms. Morgan, do you have any comment?
I was just gonna say, you know, I know that Kenny's got a lot on him now, and does he have the time the extra time to put into this to be sure that it's done every month?
Okay, well now, Alderman Billings?
Well, I will say that, I am not, necessarily happy of where we've gone thus far since this last discussion about all of the, actually multiple discussions about properties that need to be addressed and things. I'm not happy, not satisfied with that. I really, have some concerns about just going out and hiring somebody right away without my own understanding of the knowledge that you have to have, as you kind of mentioned about what the qualifications are. Also, if the fire chief has been sick, there's, you know, we need to consider there's a human factor in this. But ultimately, I think we need to determine what that role is, what the qualifications are, and when we're hiring somebody, and we've already got some questions about salary upgrade and things like that, I'd hate to go out there and hire somebody else right now without knowing, you know, like what will we pay this person and how will we do it, or what are we already paying Kenny versus what the added would be. I think really there's a lot to be discussed, I think, instead of determining it tonight. But yes, I will say I'm not satisfied with the way our town looks and the progress we've made. And I think we got some room to grow in lots of areas, and this is a big one.
Alderman Reese?
Yeah, I stand by what I said earlier. I mean, I don't feel good about, I don't know what you call it, but if he's making extra money, it's basically terminating that money.
Well, he was paid as he done each one.
From a man who's
Well, he hadn't been paid.
who's giving
He hadn't
no
been-
warning. I
he
mean, he
hadn't
said in
been
front
Well,
of
no, but it was set up that way,
he said in front of me like, Mac, say, look, you got 30 days, this is what we need to see, or we're gonna look this way. Now, I can do that with my conscience, but I can't just come in here and vote against a man that has no idea we're voting against him.
We're not
Okay,
voting against
okay,
him.
let
We're
me,
voting for a
Well,
different,
it's-
it not be
it's-
tied to the fire chief.
But it's taking money from Kenny that my conscience won't let me do unless we tell him we're gonna have a meeting and possibly be taking money from you
Well,
if you don't do this.
let me intervene and let me remedy this so we don't have an argument with the board. I know that with Kenny, I talked with Kenny yesterday briefly, but he texted me today and said he had to leave work early because his blood pressure dropped and he wouldn't be at the meeting tonight. But now, Ms. Carlin, I think, has met with Roger. I have not met with Roger, okay? And the thing about it is I'm looking forward to the job being done. At this point, right at this moment, I'm not on board with hiring or making a motion to hire at this time without making a little more discussion with Kenny to see if he's gonna be able to, just to get down to bare necessity and see if he's gonna be able to perform the job, if he's still interested in performing. I did ask him yesterday and he told me, yeah, and I think Benita told me this morning when she come in that Kenny had took her back there after I talked to him yesterday evening and showed her how to do the letters and how to, because she had said in the previous meeting that she would assist him. So I think yesterday after he and I had that long talk, he did get her on board to try to assist in getting it done, so it makes me feel that he's at least a little interested. But tonight, I don't think that the motion should, you can make the motion, but as far as relieving Kenny as the mayor, I'm not gonna do that tonight.
No,
We're not talking about, I'm not saying it right, or I'm not understanding right. We're not talking about removing Kenny from a position where he's been making money. He hasn't been making money. He could have, but he hasn't. So nobody wants to take money away from anybody. He had an opportunity, if he did this, he would make X amount per one he did. He's had that opportunity for months and months. and it hasn't worked well. And our town still is, you know, up until yesterday, the lot next to, for me, was waist high. And, but, you know, we're talking about, are we interested in our town looking better, our property staying, up to par, you know, our city looking pretty, and there not be a building, such as the factory down here where children can go in there and fall and hurt and they ride their bicycles, etc. You know, that's something that we need to look at as an individual thing. We've talked about it when I was on the board back way when. But I think that it's not something that you just add to somebody's job. You know, I think this is can I finish? I think this is a position that we need to look at as a board, as a community. Do we want someone that is willing and able and interested in doing this? And it's not taking away money from Kenny.
Well, I don't think none of us has heard from Mr. Phillips. I mean, I know you're.
Well, we didn't ask Mr. Phillips to be prepared to talk.
Well, he can come back and talk.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll
You talk to him.
And
Yeah,
let's be real up front here, the first time I ever met Mac was here because he was wanting to know about the lot next door to him on the river,
okay,
and it's
what we're gonna do,
going
I think we're spending too much time on this. Tonight, as the mayor, I appreciate everybody, I as much as anybody wanna see the town looking pretty and their stuff like that. But I don't want us to move too fast.
Well, let me say this, Memorial Day weekend every year, SBC goes out and cleans up.
Well,
Get me a list.
But you can't clean up.
You can't clean
Well,
up.
maybe not everything, but there's
It's
gonna
gonna
be.
clean itself
You
up
can't
because
mow
it's
the
about,
grass.
it's about half of
Hold
it's
it
on the
now.
ground now.
Right, thank you.
So, okay, let me say this is an orderly meeting, so being outspoken and people just keep butting in, I'm not gonna have that. Okay, so let's be respectful of one another, and, Mac, I think I understand your position, the house beside you, Nathan cleaning up ain't gonna do that no good, we're gonna have to address, on some of these issues, we're gonna have to address the homeowners. And I think that it's up to us to try to take the best avenue, but I do think we owe it to Kenny for, if y'all, I mean, for me to sit down and have a talk with him, or if you want him to come to the board, he can present to you how he want our address, or he might not even want it no more, but I do think we owe him that. He did a pretty good job, talking with the Parkers. He got that cleaned up for us, and ain't nobody mad at us, as far as I know of. We all still talking, so he done fairly decent at that. But tonight, I think we're gonna move on. I will entertain this. I'll put this on the next meeting, which will be April. And, I think I'll have my made up, and the board can have, but just tonight, just to pop in, I don't think I wanna do it. Mr. Phillips, if you wanna come back in next month, you wanna address the board and present your qualifications to where you can obtain this job, then I'll accept that too. So, at this time, we'll just put that off, and we're gonna put that off until the next city meeting, and then that'll give you all time to think about it. And that'll give me time to talk to Kenny, that'll give Kenny time if he wanna come and address the board. But, at this time, to entertain a motion to hire somebody that hasn't presented their qualifications or haven't, I mean, I know Mr. Phillip had told Ms. Carroll he'll take the job, but I haven't seen where he expressed interest in the job.
Well,
So
we
it's a
left
lot
it,
that-
wait a minute, that's not fair to Mr. Phillips.
Well, now I'm talking to Mr. V, you're not his lawyer now, I don't think.
No,
but
no,
the thing
you
about it
told
is-
me that for me to do so much, and then you would contact him. When we left it, you were gonna contact him, not him contact you.
Okay, well, if he's still interested, then, I'll be willing to sit down and listen. I mean, since it's a board action, I don't know, I guess he need to address the board rather than me.
I don't know, you just said you wanted to talk to him, so, whatever you want to do.
Well, I'm gonna leave it, I'm not gonna hire nobody tonight, it'll be, if he wants a job, he can come and present it at the next meeting, but I'm not gonna fire Kenny, not at this point right tonight. I wanna talk to him again, I wanna see. And I'm not gonna entertain the board for a motion tonight to hire Mr. Phillips, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Now, next meeting, if the boards come to it and I talk to Kenny and we can address that, then I will. But I don't think it's fair to handle it in this way. I think we're moving too fast. on that issue. I mean, these houses been here for years and years. The Parker building was down there, Miss Bailey's down there, all the people that we're complaining about, Max been down there. A couple of more months ain't gonna make no difference. Plus, it's just gonna be time to do it in the spring of the year anyway.
Well, you're the one that set the timetable last meeting, when you said I'm gonna give him 30 days,
Well,
and then we're gonna move in a different
okay, I set the
direction.
timetable, I changed my mind.
Good,
Now,
well,
there we go.
it's nice for you to tell us that at the meeting.
Well, it's nice to come and, to come and nominate somebody at the meeting, and the board don't even, these board don't know, I don't think they know no more about Mr. Phillips' credentials as anybody.
No, we're not talking credentials, but I have spoken to
I can
most of the
tell.
board members
I
about
can
that.
tell, I can tell.
Well,
I know
I
how to
mean-
lobby, I can tell that you lobbied, but still, we're gonna move on, Ms. Girl. I think, Mr. Phillips, with all due respect to you, if you wanna come to the next meeting, I think the board needs a little more time. I think it need a little more discussion. I mean, right now, I can see that Alderman Reed's not on board with it, and Alderman Billings seems like he's got some questions in mind, and so it's you, and, I mean, we've got the three that would vote to hire him.
Well, Mr.
But-
Billings
No,
said
that's
he
not
wasn't.
fair either, wait a
That's
minute.
not,
That's
but
not fair.
that's kinda ugly. But
Well-
Mr. Billings did say, Mr. Billings said he wasn't happy with the way things had
Okay, okay.
proceeded, so I don't know how you get
None of us
positive.
are happy with the way things are going.
Yeah.
And so, Mr. Billings, I'll say to the board, if y'all have anything that you wanna confer with Mr. Phillips about, I hope he'll allow you to contact him. And you can talk to him about it, and then at the next meeting, if the board decides that that's what they wanna do, then, I'm not gonna stand in the way. All right, we're gonna move on. Okay, on the doctor's office, I did talk with Miss Shaw today, and, I asked, she said, do I need to come to the meeting? I told her no, because for the simple fact that, I, didn't see no need for it. She said that she has had the doctors down here, and they looked at the clinic, and they want the clinic. And she said that it would be a doctor's clinic, it wouldn't be a mental health clinic like people saying, so it's gonna be a doctor's clinic. And, so what she's waiting on is, she said she was waiting on the, lease, okay? So now, I've got a lease in there that we had with, Lifespan, and I was gonna review that lease, and we probably need to tweak it and get it back to her, perhaps, if we suspend the meeting for the, ARPA funds, then we can discuss that, to where, I mean, I can get you a copy of the contract. If we need to tweak it, we need to tweak it, so at the next city meeting, just soon as possible, we can present it to them. All they're asking for a year's free rent, and then after that year, they'll start paying rent. And all the utilities will be in their name, the upkeep will be in their name, and, that's basically the biggest portion of it was the year free rent. But I think she said she had 2 nurse practitioners and 2 doctors and a mental health physician, and so anyway, they do want the clinic. So now, do we want to still move forward with the clinic, or do we want to not have the clinic?
Move forward.
Mayor, let me just ask one more time, because I'm by no means a medical professional at all, but of course, Ms. Shaw's background, from what I see, is primarily what she's doing now is mental health. So as you have talked to her, I trust that we are getting what we felt like was presented to us, a general practitioner's office that has a component of mental health services, but it's not an extension, I don't guess, of the current mental health program that you're doing. So can you kind of verbalize it once more for us about exactly what we're getting in the clinic?
Ms. Woods, I think we had talked a few weeks ago, and I called the lady on the phone, and I put her on speaker, and I asked her if it was gonna be a mental health or if it was gonna be a general practice doctor's office, and she stated it was gonna be a doctor's office.
Okay.
And she stated the same to me tonight. Now, the thing about it is we might need to stipulate that if it's not gonna be a doctor's office, then we're not gonna lease to them. You know what I mean, which what you put in the contract is gonna make the difference, you see, but she says it's gonna be a doctor's clinic, but it will have, the potential to address mental health and the other stuff, so.
Well, of course, mental health is an important factor in Tennessee, in our community. But right here in Saltillo, what we believe, I speak for myself, board to say their own, we need a general practitioner where people can come and get their blood pressure, get their medicine, get their shots, things like, so I'm hoping that is definitely what we're looking at. I don't really have a motion, I mean, I wanna make sure that if the citizens of Saltillo are going to be able to benefit from having a general practitioner, that's what I am for, so.
I agree.
Okay. All right, I was looking at my phone here, I was trying to, she called me just a few minutes before I came down here. And she did state that, but you know, I don't wanna be no liar, I don't wanna be a bearer of bad news, so,
So as you're looking, I guess the ultimate is, if we move forward with the lease for the year, and it turns into more of a, I hate to say it, it sounds terrible, but an opioid clinic type of thing, we can discontinue our lease.
well, if
I mean,
we word it that way, I would think so.
Yeah.
I'm calling her.
Okay.
I can see that.
Well, I mean, he asked me a question.
I don't know if you wanna call her in the middle of a meeting.
Well, I mean, she can address the meeting, I mean, we do, Zoom meetings all the time. I don't know what's the difference, you know, than her being her or her telling on the phone.
Two nurse practitioners and two doctors, I'm gonna say it's not just mental health.
Right, okay.
Yes, especially with the practitioners.
Okay, so, do y'all want her to come back before you make the decision?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I think, I mean, this, I don't know, but y'all, this is getting way, I mean, the woman done told us what she had. I tried to call her, you don't want me to call her.
I don't
There
know
you
mind
go. Okay, well, the thing about it is we gonna have to, we don't wanna, you know, this one thing the Chinese say about the Americans, they take them too long to make us mind up. They got to
Amen to that.
Right, over 1,000
Amen.
things, right?
Whoa!
Larry,
Yeah.
Indecisive.
what I said was, if you have talked to her and she says we're getting a, more
Well-
than a general practitioner, I'm for it. I'm for it.
Yeah, but Miss Crowley, you sitting here and you had me to call her the other day and she told you in front of you, that's when
I
I
didn't
called
have her
her.
call her, you said I'll call
I
her.
called her, right?
Yeah, you called her,
Right.
and, I heard that conversation.
Well, if there's two nurse practitioners, that's not mental health, that's general care.
Hello,
Practitioners can't do mental health.
can you hear me? Okay, this is gonna be more like a Zoom call, ma'am. I'm in a board meeting now, but I wanna hear the community as well as the board to hear this because there's some contradictions that what you wanna put in as a mental health facility, and you told me it's gonna be a regular doctor's clinic, right?
I don't need to talk to her.
That is correct. It's not mental health, but it is a medical clinic. Now, please understand that if someone comes in there and they have anxiety, panic attacks, something of that nature, the physicians can treat them for that just like your regular PCPs can, your primary care physicians. But this is not a mental health facility. It is a regular family medical clinic.
All right, that's all I wanted you to say, so I'll continue with my meeting. We've been arguing long enough tonight, so thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, now, okay, so I'm not gonna, I mean, we're gonna move forward. But we will stipulate in the lease or where we can that that's what we're leased it as,
Yeah.
is a,
I think it's perfect. I think that's a good idea.
okay, all right. So we're gonna move on, let's see, I covered that, old business covered that, okay. I wanna stress to the Alderman too that you know the budget is coming up. So, this is March, so we gotta have the budget approved by July 1st. So we're gonna start working on it probably in March or April. And to get the budget passed, and we need to look at, taxes. And I told the people, I said, well, you know, the taxes is based on your budget. Each year, you can lower the taxes, or you can raise the taxes by budget. Okay, so if you wanna consider raising or whatever you are, lowering the taxes, then we'll be discussing that in our annual budget. And also, we discussed, salary raises for the employees, and what I've done, I think you all got this sheet here, I guess, right? Do you all have a sheet here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can see what the employee, we've got 8 employees, and you can see what they get paid, and you can see what they're requesting. Now, I'm asking the alderman on the alderman recommendation there, I'm asking you, they're like, for instance, the maintenance men, they're getting $9 an hour, they're asking for $12 an hour. So if you wanna put in 10, if you wanna put in 11, if you wanna put in the 12, if you wanna put in 5, that's your option to put in what, if you want to allow them that, then we'll put it in. Now, what I did do is I did a tally sheet, and right now we're paying $40,920 a year in salaries, and that's for mayor, city recorder, that's for senior citizen, that's for fire chief, that's for police, that's for tabbers, and also for court clerk. So that's what we're spending there. Now, if these raises go through as is, it's gonna raise the budget $14,640.40. So actually, it would be $55,560, and that's the 2 maintenance men requesting a raise, the court clerk requesting a raise, the police requesting a raise, the city recorder requesting a raise, the senior citizen and the fire chief requesting a raise. Okay, and you got a copy of what they're getting now and what they are asking for. So the thing about it is you're welcome to put in there, and we need to discuss that during the annual budget. Okay, so anybody got any questions pertaining to what I just discussed as far as on the budget, as far as the taxes, the salary? So if not, we'll move right along with that. You got that, you can take it with you, and we'll discuss that when we do the budget. Okay, now we did discuss passing an ordinance as far as the type of animals you could have in the city limits. I think hogs was one thing, because we do got hogs up here, I think on 69 when you come in, and that was addressed. So I don't know if the board want to follow through with an ordinance as the type of animals you can have in the city limits. If you do, then we'll proceed with starting to get that ordinance typed up. Do you want to pursue that, and we can get it typed up and be prepared for the next meeting or two to pass it?
Did you, did you have do we have an ordinance already on the books or not?
I saw one that similarly pertained to it, but it was back from 1954, you know.
So
What did that say on
Well,
that, Greg?
I don't have the number written down right now, the ordinance from I think it was 52, that addressed hogs and hog pens.
Right.
And that, the distance they could be from a resident or a highway. And, I can't quote what it said.
I think it was 100 feet.
It's something, 150 I think it was, but I think if at the very minimum, we may want to address the distance specifically of hogs that's already in the ordinance. Or we can couple that in with, you know, other animals. I mean, we are a rural community, people got chickens and things like that, but that, you know, there's, the current ordinance is only pertaining to hog pens, being clean and sanitary, you know, the best you can, and the actual hogs, so, yeah.
Okay.
No
But-
goats?
It doesn't mention goats or any other type of.
No, it's just hogs and hog pens. I don't think it-
Goats clean up properly.
1952 is an interesting read.
Okay, I mean, if you want to,
So this ordinance is already on the book, is that what you're saying?
hogs and hogs.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But now, we might want to change the dimension, like as Greg said, I think it's 150 feet from a dwelling or a road.
Right.
And
Well,
we-
it is from a major highway, so let's say, just an example, 69, it turns left here, and 69 goes in front of the store and the restaurant, they could only be, you know, so many feet from there, major highway, or highway, it didn't really say major, it says highway, so I think, I mean, it is specifically to the distance from a highway and a residence.
So if we want to change that, we'd have to amend the ordinance, is what we'd have to do.
Right, for the hogs and the pens specifically.
And
but
so the
any-
people that, excuse me,
well,
people that already have that would be grandfathered in.
Not
No,
necessarily,
that's
because they're not
1952.
150 feet from
They had to be
hogs.
some more hogs.
You know, the house, you're supposed to be 150 feet from a
So
residence.
if they're
the same
150
hog,
feet from
is
the
it?
residence,
They're dead.
and they have hogs, they can keep. If they meet, if they're
Right now,
150 feet,
right
yeah.
now, if they're 150 feet from a road or from.
A resident.
A residence, yeah. So if we wanna alter that, then you might wanna write that down to where we can get the facts into the distance or how we want to amend that ordinance, and then we'll get it typed up and we can get it ready for passage. Okay? Okay, are there any other questions on, or discussion on hogs? Okay, and we discussed firearms in the city limits, we discussed the 200 amp panel, Half Moon Lake. Okay, we got a letter, I think I gave it to all the aldermen, I think y'all have a copy of the letter. We did receive a certified letter from Mr. Willis, Mr. David Willis, to the Saltillo Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Says the city has 2 covers that go under Willis Road and drains water off my property behind my service station and barbecue pit that is flooding my boat storage at the cover that drains across the Danny Mooney side of the road. I have documented that in an ongoing problem and getting worse. The other cover drains the south end of the field to a few feet from Francis Willis property, which I have for sale. The damage to my boat storage field and lot for sale has been assessed, but this issue must be addressed now before more damage done. I will give you 30 days to correct this major drainage problem, or I will have no choice but to pursue lawyer and go to court. I expect a response within 2 weeks in writing. Well, here's what I'm gonna say to that, to the board, is that, I was raised here. I feel that Mr. Willis caused that problem on himself when he was the mayor. The ditch used to run north and south down the east side of Willis Street all the way to 69 and go under the Culverts, which he stopped up. He covered that side of the road up, didn't put culverts in, and we didn't install the culverts. The 2 culverts that are there, they drain the water within a 12-hour period. I mean, you know, you can go through there in the evening, the next day it's gone. So I think it's drained in ample amount of time. So I'm giving you the option of discussion, but I'm not gonna address it myself. He caused the damage, and we'll just let him get him a lawyer, I think, and then we'll just let our lawyer handle that because he's responsible for that damage. Now, being all in all, I'm not vindictive. If it was a way to fix it, regardless of the circumstances, I would try to address it, but he's been down there with his little track hole digging on next to the city street, causing worse problems. And the covers that are under the road, running across the road, they're not big enough, but they've been in there for years, and we'd have to cut the city streets and do all of that. But it drains off an ample amount of time. I never seen the water that high up in that boat storage back there, or even in the thing there. So if y'all want to address that problem, we can, but if not, I suggest that we just, he says that he's gonna get a lawyer, so I suggest that let him get a lawyer and then let our lawyer handle it, because he caused the problem.
Well, Mayor, if I could, let me just say to the citizens that are here who may be watching this, meeting, this is a terrible way to address this board, to come right out of the gate, threatening a lawyer and giving us a time period, things like that. Anybody's more than welcome to come to this board and present a concern that they need help with. And I think this board is willing to do what's best in the best interest of the community, but people that, you know, want to jump straight to the attorney, I'm with you. Get your attorney and have at it.
That's right, okay. So we'll just wait to hear from his attorney on that part. And, now, the thing about it is too, though, I mean, if something can be done, I mean, he might wanna dig that ditch back down beside the service station where the water, what it is, the 2 culverts, one by the pond by Nathan's son and one down by Danny's, they're only about 8 inches. And they can just carry so much water, which they carry the water, but on a hard rain, everybody's yard fill up, you know, but in a period of 10 or 12 hours, it's gone. But had that ditch not been restricted, the excess water would have run on down the ditch and hit the corner of 69 and went down in front of Danny's. Now it's running across Danny's yard, it's not even going down to 69 like it should, and he caused that damage.
Yeah, well, Mayor, like I say, that this letter was presented with the intent to get an attorney. Honestly, I have no idea what the problem is. I don't know a lot about drainage and all those kind of things, but I would at least like somebody to come and present, hey, I got this problem, would you come look at it and see what I'm talking about?
Right.
Those type of things, so, I think it's just going about it the wrong way, although it may be a problem that we need to look at, but he's
Right.
kinda stepped out of bounds, I think, on
Well,
this.
should we offer him an opportunity to since he wants something in 2 weeks, should we offer him, send him a letter offering him an opportunity to come to the meeting and present that?
Well, I think he'll see it on video, he'll make sure he gets it. So,
Says
But
it,
he,
yeah.
he wants it in 2 weeks.
well, he'll have it tonight.
It's already been.
Not
Won't
in
be
writing.
tonight.
Well, I'm gonna ignore that. I'm just gonna tell you, so, you know, whatever, if it's, you know, if I'm in trouble for ignoring it, then I'm in trouble. I'm just gonna ignore it because I think this is harassment, is what I think it is.
Thank you.
So, okay, so, does any other comments or discussion with the board? If not, we'll move right along. We talked about the Siren Grant, we talked about the Saltillo Clinic. I've covered everything that's on my list except for the general fund, except for the finances. Now, I'll say this again for the last time, we'll get ready to leave, people. The city we have one heck of a computer program that documents by code every penny the city receives, every penny the city spends, and it's documented current, actual, and the budget, it's got the percentage and all of that. So we're looking at that close, and we're trying to keep these finances in order where we can. And I'll say again to the people, Mr. Willis, I think he went about it wrong, but if you got an issue, we'll listen to it. I mean, you know, I'm the mayor, and I'm the mayor for my enemies as well as the different, I mean, just because a person's Republican, Democrat, or because a person is black or white, coloristic, whatever, it don't matter. When you're a mayor or you're a board of alderman, you don't look at that. You look at it as what you can do to serve your community, whether they like you or not. So I'm looking to serve the community, and I'm willing to look at, and I think the board is too, willing to correct problems and compete and match with tasks that come before us. But if we don't know about them, we don't know about them. We don't go around looking in ditches and everything. If you got a ditch that's restricted, or if you got a tree that's compromising property, the road or something, if you let us know, we'll try to address that. But, okay, so we're gonna go on down to the city funds. General fund right now, $144,000, fire $3,625, park $7,886, river day $1,739, street aid $40,000, ARPA funds $79,000, balance all funds $278,166. Okay, so that's the account balances for the city. And but then we got a thing from Hardin County. It was a check, was that for the we got one from the Hardin County the other day? That wasn't from Hardin County.
No, that was sales tax.
Sales tax. Okay.
Yeah, they haven't sent us our,
money for the month.
yeah,
Okay.
the ones for the grant money.
Okay, so that one for the grant money though, right? The
No, we hadn't gotten it
okay.
yet.
We're still expecting $2,500 from the county for, the festival that we're gonna have up there. They know they get, $2,500.
Heritage Fest.
Yeah.
And then for the parks and senior center.
And the senior citizen, we get $1,500 for the senior citizen, we get $500 for each park. And, I mean, that's what we get each year as a grant from the county, so, okay, so now, let me look through, make sure I covered everything, look like I have, so what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna check on the street signs with the county mayor for the next meeting, and, now we need to suspend this meeting. Have y'all got any idea as to what you want on the ARPA money that's left? What I've got is, I think it's how much is 79,000? Let's see.
815.
$79,815, which we appropriated $27,000 for the police car, and it's actually cost us $25,000. So that leaves $54,815.92. Now we are going to need a maintenance vehicle. The old Dodge truck is she's about done completed as much as she can. It's a 2002. We had it since 2010. It's been a good truck, but it's about to lay down on it. Smokes real bad. I guess y'all get behind and see it going down the road smoking. But anyway, we're gonna need one of those. Now this is my presumption, and also the library. The library has been worked hard on. It's intact. It's in good shape. But the state gave us computers, and they were refurbished a few years back. They didn't last no time. But we do have internet up there, but I'd hope that we could get maybe 3 computers for the library. I think that would fall under that, because we got kids, if they don't have internet, they can't go up there and do internet. And, the only thing I got is the computers and the maintenance truck, and the 16,000 for the, sirens. Okay, so if y'all got anything else, or if you know of anything else tonight, now we're gonna have to submit that where Benita can file it with the state. Okay?
Are we gonna suspend this meeting and have another one to address that?
Well, we need to.
Yeah.
Okay, so, at this point, do we have any discussion with the board
About anything or?
about anything before we adjourn?
We're not adjourning, we're suspended.
I mean suspending, yeah. Right. Okay, if not, then I will offer the community, if they have anything, then, we'll be glad to address your concerns at this time.
Well, when you mentioned the public library, the computers, what about a printer? Does it have a printer?
We have a
It
printer.
does.
It does.
Yeah, yeah, we have a printer, we just, the computers.
We had a leak, and the leak damaged the computers that were on that wall.
Well, I went when, I guess when it was first installed, and I wanted to use it, and, I didn't bring my own paper, so, and the printer was apparently not working, so, and I just went to the public library, so that's why I stated it.
Okay, now, only thing on the library, of course, we don't have people to work it at this point, so I don't know how we'll set up as far as to where kids can access the library and, go in there. I don't know, we might have to put somebody in there a couple of days a week, 2 or 3 days a week to address that problem for kids that need to use it, but I think that will fall under part of, addressing needs to the city, is to make sure we take care of our kids, when they need it. I mean, now, we might get the broadband from Lexington Electric, I don't know, we haven't got that yet, but like I say, the library was put in place with the emphasis and thought of kids that didn't have internet would have access to go up there and sit and read and also get on the internet. Okay, okay, Roger, do you have something?
I was just on a couple things, you talking about the ditches and the culverts, does that fall under this, or different?
Yeah.
All right, was you talking about doing ditches throughout the city and culverts, like if, I got a culvert, I got one that got a permit to get the culvert, that's when I put my driveway in. There's people that didn't, you know, obviously from years back, is that, y'all gonna be replacing those type things?
Well, we're gonna look at replacing those. Now, as far as it's been, I think that, the people, I think it's always been an ordinance that a certain size culvert had to be used, but it wasn't enforced. So, you know, a lot of people, we're gonna try to do as many as we can, but you know, it might come to the point where the homeowner has to buy the culvert and we install it.
Okay, well, the reason, and I'm not fussing or griping, but I paid for my culvert, and my neighbor's got a 4-inch pipe on his.
Right.
Okay, so you gonna come along and the city's gonna put him a culvert in?
Well,
I don't think that's right.
I didn't say that, I said we're gonna address that.
Okay.
You know, so right at this point, the homeowner's been buying the culvert, so we've been installing them, you know. So, and they know it's wrong in the first place to put that culvert in there like that, you see, so. I think if it's a city street like, that goes under to where the homeowner has no
Right.
part of it, then the city would pay for that, but when you put in a 4-inch culvert, I mean, still, what I'm saying is we're gonna have to address that. I don't know how at this point, because perhaps even if it's a 4-inch pipe in there, we can't do nothing about it now, but if, we don't address it, it's just gonna cause more corrosion, so I don't really know how to go about that. I mean, if you go to a homeowner and say, hey, you put a 4-inch culvert in here, and it's illegal, you see. So I don't know if we wanna take that action and, cite them in the court and see, and have them to get a culvert, or if the city wanna take it on their own, I'm just not sure at this point. And it might come down to the point to where, you might have to take your culvert back and we just install you one, I don't know.
It's been down too long. But then there are driveways without culverts.
Yes.
Without
Yes.
ditches.
Right,
And, you know, and I've got accused of my water coming on somebody else's property. I don't have nothing to do with the water, that's the Lord. the Lord puts the water where he wants it and it goes where it's gonna go, whether I, you know, but anyway, that's that.
Well,
The,
well-
He had something else.
uh,
He had something else, I think.
okay, go ahead. She said you had something else.
it's just, sometimes,
He lost
go ahead,
it.
I'll take it.
Well, we'll, what we'll do is, like I say, we'll address that, and I don't know, and like I say, I don't know how we're gonna, I mean, some things you just have to think on, and you have to study and just see how to handle it, but, that is part of what we need to do, is to address the drainage.
All right. And then the ditches, like in front of my house, you're thinking about coming in and kind of, they're not, they've been filled in. In other words,
Yeah.
so you kind of dig them out a little bit. I'm for that, okay?
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
people may not be, but I'm for
Right,
that.
and yeah, we looked at that on Gumtree, I think it was left out, actually Gumtree, I think the street was paid for sale, and if I ain't mistaken, I don't know if Mr. Willis owned that property or not at one time. I think he owned all that property and paved that street and sold the land, which is illegal to do that, cause I couldn't do it, I can't even, when we had a grant, none of my family could even get a grant because I was related to them, you know, so you can't pave a street and then sell the property, I don't think, with city funds, but that's what happened, and then it wasn't put in properly. So the thing about it now, we're having to go back and address all of that, you see, so.
Okay, and I don't know how you can you yourself, y'all have to put a value on all this stuff so you can know it'll be in that budget, right?
That's right.
So I don't know how y'all gonna do that. Say for instance, right down there in front of, speaking of Mr. Willis, in front of where the lake, the little pond comes out.
Yeah.
Right there, that ditch that runs behind the Warrens over there on the other side, that culvert on Haslett is not big enough like the other day. It wasn't,
Water was over the road?
it was over the road, yeah.
Yeah, well, now that's cutting the city
Now,
street, so.
Now, it may have been stopped up with trash, you know, but, you know, but that's a pretty good sized culvert. But, anyway, that road on top of there is washing real
Well,
bad.
it might not be that, it might be the culvert on Saltillo Road, because that water runs across down through there, right, go below that
Down that
makeshift
way,
pond
yeah.
down there and go across, and the run on Saltillo Road might not be big enough to handle the water and push it back.
Yeah, cause it comes all the way up
Right,
behind them.
that's right. Okay, so, I mean, right now, we're just trying to figure out how to do the best for the town and how to, I mean, like, we're just gonna have to
Like I
figure
said,
it out.
that was just suggestions, I
Yeah,
mean, you know.
right, well, we're open for
That's what you
suggestions, that's what
do.
make things work, okay?
Roger Kent had his.
Roger?
I don't know where the appropriate time slot is to put it, but, were you gonna talk about the upgrade to the surveillance system at school?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, I gave y'all a copy of the
We
surveillance.
got it,
Okay.
we got the paper.
Okay, Mr. Gann is here, I forgot about that, but he's here, he gave us an upgrade to, this is behind the school up on the top corner up there facing the park, in the parking areas. When we had a grant, we got the cameras and the camera rotated. Well, since then, lightning hit it some, but the camera don't rotate. But Mr. Gann, he, put in surveillance and he says he can put in 3 separate cameras rather than just the one camera to rotate, just have 3 separate cameras that show all the time, the walking track, the concession stand. That's where we're gonna have a lot of trouble with the concession stand, people breaking into the bathrooms and breaking into the concession stand door and stuff like that. And, that camera, sometimes even if lightning or thunder hit, it'll rotate away from where we got it. But, I think you said that, and what's that, repairing the cameras here at City Hall?
Yeah, there's 3 cameras here.
We've got 3 cameras here at City Hall that the night lenses is, I don't know, I've got a monitor in there, but at nighttime, you can't see, it's just black because the red ring that goes around the camera is out, and it don't show night vision, is that right?
Right.
Yeah, so,
Is that true at the one at the landing down there that, you know,
No.
the one with,
you know what?
that's not a problem down there?
No.
I just thought you said you couldn't, at night you couldn't see that one either. No, that's not true?
Well, you can't see, I mean, you can't see the boat, you can't see the boat dock at night.
It's so far away that
It's
there's
so
just
far.
no light.
Okay, but now these here in the fire station, and now these are at the fire station here and, on the north, on the, south side of the building. But, I think I gave all of you a copy of this, so I don't know if you wanna wait to, decide that, or if you want to.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and do it. I think right now cameras are invaluable to us. They tore up everything in the front and.
Now, you got 2 sheets on your cameras or one? Just one sheet, right? Okay, yeah. He had another sheet to where he had offered to do, put cameras in the downtown area and microwave them to the city hall to where we can see them. It was quite a bit. How much was it, Roger?
I forgot, it's roughly 1,000 or a little over 1,100.
$1,050, I think, wasn't it?
$1,050 for that, but, still, I think if you want to, we'll go ahead and pursue this. I mean, it's up to y'all. If you wanna pursue this right now and let him do that, and then we do the other at another time, so. Okay, discussion?
I have a question.
Hold it just a minute, Ms. Maynard, you, is your question pertaining to the cameras?
No.
Okay, Ms. Maynard, you, did you say you made a motion?
I make a motion that we do it. I think we need them. I think we need them down there. We've got a festival coming up. We've got kids tearing stuff up down there. We're gonna bring computers. We're trying to fix it up. I think this is a vital part of what we've had to have in our community.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
it's no different
I'll
than,
entertain a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Okay, Alderman, Billings,
Yes.
Alderman Morgan,
Yes.
Alderman Maynard,
yes.
Reeves,
Yes, sir.
Woods,
Yes.
no. So.
I don't think you're.
I ain't got vote nowhere. I mean, you got 5, so, I mean, I just throwing that in because I don't like
I
it.
thought that was a veto.
He don't
Okay.
like
He
it.
doesn't have a veto power.
Okay, so Roger, I guess I'd give you the go-ahead with this.
Does somebody check these cameras periodically?
I look at them all the time, you know.
You do?
Yeah, Stephen
You
looks
see,
at them.
do you ever see anything happening down at the river
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
worthy of note?
Nothing
Oh,
we need
no,
to talk
no,
about
no,
this
no.
evening.
Yes.
Now, I really think that everybody need to pass the word around because we have a lot of ladies that's inappropriate at the river.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I mean, they drink a beer and I guess they gotta go to the bathroom. So, but you know, we can see them. You know, so they need to be careful about where they can. A lot of people
Well,
don't even look
if
at
they
those
don't, if
cameras.
the cameras don't reach the boat ramp, then you need to put a sign up
That's
that says,
down
if
at
you
the
wanna go to the
bottom,
bathroom.
no
don't
No,
go
no,
around.
no. Now, down in the corner where they park at,
Yeah,
look at the cameras is right there.
Just be mindful that we just look at them. I use a lot of discretion, you know, and, you know, young people, please go somewhere else and park.
He called me the other day, said, I'll see you at the river.
Are there signs?
Yeah, the park down there.
When you
Okay.
first go up there, yeah.
Okay, Ms. Casey, did you have another, before we adjourn, did you have something else you wanted to?
I had a question. Since I'm new here, my first time, I want to be sure I understood. At your next meeting, you're going to discuss the budget. Is that right?
Well, we're gonna suspend this meeting because we forgot to come up with a criteria on what we're gonna spend the ARPA money on. So we're gonna have to suspend this meeting and we're gonna address the, what we're gonna spend this money on, I think.
So there'll be 2 meetings this month, is what he's saying, I think.
Yeah.
One of those meetings you discuss the budget? Yes.
Yes.
We were gifted, well, we received $79,815.92, and we have to report by March 31st how we're gonna spend that money.
Which meeting if a budget come up? Yes.
Our
Well,
budget
different
money, our budget for, our yearly budget meeting has to be submitted by
Hey, by July
by
first.
July 1st, so we'll start doing that, we'll start going through our numbers on that like in April, and then, or the 1st of May, knowing where our
No,
money's.
won't be the 1st of May, it'll
Okay,
be
be
April.
April,
Okay.
So,
Are we gonna have a planning session for
but that'll be
that?
during our regular meeting.
Sitting, working on the budget?
well,
Yes,
we're gonna be
first
working on the
Tuesday.
budget up until June, so if we start next month,
You
But-
gotta give me an air
But we're not gonna
conditioner.
have a planning session.
well, we
You
might
used to
have
do
to,
that a long
well,
time
we
ago.
might have to, but if we can hash it all out between, April and May and June, we won't have to, but we might have to. Did you have something, Alderman Billings?
No, sir, I'm just, curious as when we will meet again.
Okay, when y'all wanna, when you wanna do the suspended meeting, we gotta do it to where she can present it by the end of this month.
You got church anytime?
Yes, church.
All the time, yeah, but
Not every day.
No, but
And certain days are better for you. I
what
guess,
about
to
2
request-
weeks from tonight, or a week from tonight?
I cannot meet, next week.
15.
Well, I'm retired, so I can do whatever you want to do.
Well, that'll give me
Just
2
let know.
weeks to,
But the-
You're what?
Is the
if you do it on the
22nd too late?
15th, it'll give me 2 weeks to put it in. There's nothing but a spreadsheet, so I don't think it's gonna take a lot of effort.
we can do the 15th, do 6 o'clock. If we have church, that gives me an hour and a half.
6 o'clock on the 15th?
If everybody's.
Well,
good
it
with
shouldn't
that,
take us 30
Yeah,
minutes.
it shouldn't take long.
How's that for you, Greg?
That sounds good to me. I
The
don't know,
15th.
30 minutes will do it, but
Pretty soon?
from the lively discussion tonight.
Well, now, yeah, but the only thing, now, the only suspended meeting, the only thing we're gonna discuss is how we gonna spend this money.
Yeah, that's it.
Could we not do that tonight and just have it over with?
No.
I need
You gotta
an air
think about it.
conditioner.
Yeah.
You
I
can't,
mean, I can
the
do
mayor
that.
can't come up with a figure on how much the ditches are gonna
Yeah.
cost in that time.
Well, I have a laundry list of things to present, as far as,
One of them better be an air conditioner for City Hall.
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think.
Bonita says yes.
Mayor, let me interject for a second. Can we do this? Did we decide we're gonna meet on the 15th or what? Did we decide that?
Well, we're deciding if everybody
Okay,
can.
so it's good for me.
Good for me.
15th?
15th, what time?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 15th at 6 o'clock.
And so should everyone bring any,
Brigadier.
wish list items?
Yes,
or
yes.
With them, with figures attached?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it's about. Cause we only got just real quick, we only got, let's
We've
see,
only got about 50,000 left to
25,000,
spend.
25,000, 17,000, I mean, it's 16,800, so which we
Well,
might come off of that, but.
Let's keep in mind that there's gonna be another installment,
A year
in
from
the
now.
future, yeah.
In a
So
year from now.
that meeting that we have should pertain to immediate purchases or.
That's
things to
right,
do with the
yeah,
budget.
Does
just,
it have
And
to be?
future.
Well, we only
So we don't
do
have to
one
do it all
meeting
over again.
because we fall under that 10 meeting. So when we turn in this preliminary thing that how we're gonna spend it, then
Yeah.
we're good.
oh, well,
So we
now,
don't-
we gotta have
I don't
projected
think-
the whole 179,000,
I believe it's just what we have received and then we're done.
right, and then
You're
when
We
we get
just
the
have
other
to spend
money.
it by the 5 years. Whatever we do not spend has to be returned to the state.
Yeah,
After
but
5 years.
what I'm
Right.
saying is, if we have a meeting and discuss all these things, when we get the next installment, we'll be far ahead than where we, we'll be on the next.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah.
But now the 79,815, we've already allotted $42,000 out of that. And that's 25,000 for the police car and 17,000 for the sirens.
But keep in mind, if you do any type of capital improvement, if you're building or anything like that, it has to be started before that money is over.
I got you.
You have to be kind of in the middle of it.
Right.
42,000, 79,000, so that'd be 7, so, and that there is gonna be, so we're looking at about $39,000 that we're gonna discuss spending.
I don't think that'd take 30 minutes.
Well, now, Greg was talking about the whole 179,000, what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion, do we entertain a motion to adjourn?
No, we're not adjourning.
Suspend the meeting.
Suspended.
The meeting is suspended until, March 15th at 6 o'clock.
Yes.